members of the UN Security Council unanimously vote to level tougher economic sanctions on Pyongyang. The United States hopes this will pressure the Democratic People's Republic of Korea to halt its nuclear and missile ambitions. CGTN's Nick Harper is in New York. Nick, what can you tell us about the resolution?
Well, Susan, the idea behind this is to significantly reduce the amount of revenue that the DPRK can get from its exports. The hope is that this will slash their revenue by a third. Last year, they brought in about $3 billion US. They're hoping to reduce that by about $1 billion. So some of the things they're targeting, we're looking at a full ban on the export of coal, iron and iron ore. Up until now, there has been a cap on the export of those products. Also a full ban on the export of lead ore and seafood. And there will be more targeted sanctions against certain individuals inside North Korea. So they will have travel bans and asset freezes. And the sanctions are also being imposed against some entities or companies that are in North Korea as well. So a very wide-ranging set of sanctions. The countries involved who put this together, the US and China, hope that this will significantly limit the ability of Pyongyang to gather revenue, to put that into their ballistic missile and nuclear programs. During the council meeting, we heard from China's ambassador, Ambassador Liu, and he spoke about the reasons to why China supported this resolution.
China is opposed to the DPRK's launching activities, which are in violation of Council resolutions and are in defiance of the will of the entire international community. China has always insisted on realizing the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, upholding peace and stability on the peninsula, and seeking a solution through dialogue and consultation. China has always been firmly opposed to chaos and conflict on the peninsula. In our view, these, in essence, are what Resolution 2371 is all about.
Well, unanimous support from all of the 15 members of the Security Council, and they hope that that will send a very unified message to North Korea to desist in the missile and nuclear activities. Susan?
So, Nick, why is the UN moving on this now and strengthening sanctions?
Well, some of the countries involved wanted to get this working sooner than we have seen. The US is trying to be pushing for this for the last month or so, but it has taken some time, a slightly more cautious approach, because it wanted to make sure that it would get enough votes. So it spent several weeks negotiating with China to ensure that China was also happy to vote for this resolution. In the past, China has always said that it's not just about sanctions. We need dialogue as well. And I think that's something that was acknowledged from all of the speakers during this Security Council meeting, that the sanctions are not a result in themselves. The hope is that it will push Pyongyang back to the negotiating table. Ambassador Liu spoke about the need for the resumption of the six-party talks that broke down in 2009. But there was also talk from both China and Russia's ambassadors of another plan that they have been suggesting for the last few weeks, this joint initiative of suspension for suspension, asking North Korea, the DPRK, to stop with its nuclear program, to stop with its ballistic missile tests, but also to get the US and South Korea to stop with their joint military exercises and the THAAD missile system in South Korea. Ambassador Liu said that the integrated approach of this suspension for suspension plan was a good one, and he hoped that it would get support. So, Susan, we are still hearing about some other plans the countries are working on that they hope will help to pressure the DPRK.